Are live, and it is only a matter of time before the crazy Noble Patriots jump in on board tonight because it is a crazy day. Uh, it's always a crazy day, but it is getting crazier and crazier. I would like to, as people are jumping on here, let's say hi to a few people. Dude, Dr. Mike Reid, I have people from literally all over the planet, Australia. I mean, they're locked down coming on. Greg, Brandy. I mean, this is not just an American situation. This is a planetary situation. I mean, it's amazing
Yeah, it
how
is.
even though I put red, white, and blue up, everyone's jumping on because it's planetary. Would you agree?
It's global. I mean, you talk about the Great Awakening. It's the Great Awakening worldwide, and that's what we're seeing. I mean, everywhere, every nation, the people are waking up, which is fantastic.
100%. I would like to introduce you to my good friend who I haven't had on in a while, but we are messaging each other back and forth pretty much all the time. Dr. Mike Reid, who neither one of us are professional political pundits. We actually work in a different field, but it's tied to politics, and I think that's why you and I probably got involved in this is because we're in healthcare. Can you give everyone a little background on you and who you are so they can find out who you are and they might need you and your wife's help as well?
Yeah, well, thanks, Jason. Thanks for having me on again. This is just a blast. Well, for those of you who are listening, I've been in practice, like yourself, Jason, about almost 30 years now. I practice. I'm originally from Canada, Ottawa, Canada. Proud to be Canadian for all the connects out there. But now live in Richmond, Virginia, with an amazing wife, Dr. Reid. We're married, and I help run her practice. I coach doctors. I have digital marketing. We're launching a new online program for her. So I'm busy, but just to come full circle with how you and I met, I've been awake for 25 years. You and I met at a seminar a couple of years ago, then bumped into each other at a second seminar and started talking about what's happening in the world. And you and I are like two peas in a pod. We agree pretty well 99% on what's happening in the world. We've been awake, and it's fun being on a platform like this, just really sort of waking up the rest of the people. And we're seeing that snowball effect now. It's really growing. It's happening worldwide. And then, I know you got some exciting things to talk about with just came out today. I mean, which is just mind boggling.
Yeah, totally. So we're gonna have some fun tonight because again, Dr. Reid and I are good friends. So it's kind of just a chat tonight. It's not anything official. We just like to chat about this, but it also affects us because we are in healthcare. Doc is also a chiropractor. His wife's a chiropractor. Amazing human beings, and we have been watching the pharmaceutical medical industrial complex destroy lives for so long. And Doc and I, as well as all our colleagues out there who are watching this, who are amazing people, how long have you been on a rooftop shouting about this system? And because everything we're going to talk about tonight, even though it doesn't seem directly tied to healthcare, it is. Can you give everyone a background on how long you've been shouting from rooftop on the dangers that the deep state, the globalists, the cabal, whatever, and the medication and the chemicals and everything, how long that's been going on, how long you've seen it?
Well, Jason, I would say for me, it goes back at least 20, 25 years back in the mid 90s when I really started to wake up. Met Ed Griffith, the creature from Jekyll Island, met Alex Jones, who was shouting outside my office in Ottawa at a Bilderberger meeting at the Brook Street. And I started reading their books. I started following these guys. And, innately, I think we as chiropractors were a little more connected from above down, inside out. And just because we're clear, and we take a holistic lifestyle. So maybe we're not in the vaccines, we're not in the fluoride, we're not as suppressed as the average person out there. And we're in tune, we say in chiropractic, innately to the universal intelligence that's all around us. And I think that little voice on the inside would say always question authority. And I've been a badass questioning authority from ever since I was younger. But really, when you have people say, you have to pay all this money in your taxes, I go, why? Question that why. And most people don't even realize where their income taxes go. Or look at vaccines. Why do we have to take vaccines? Like a natural immune system. I think I started questioning it, doing the research on it. And 20 years ago, we used to run vaccine workshops in Toronto. We had Catherine Diodotti wrote an amazing book, History, Laws, and Ethics of Immunizations. And we had 300 people in the room. And man, I used to take the stones and arrows from my governing board back then, because that was taboo, that was no-no. But you know what? I believe I'm a free person. I have freedom of speech. And, you know, if I damn well want to get out there and start telling the truth, then I'm going to do it. And, you know, when I have a philosophy that health and healing comes from inside, that you don't need crap and chemicals from outside, then you start questioning really authority, you start questioning the intent of humanity. And that's when I really started to wake up, started doing, I was an avid reader, I still am, started doing research. I had a research background. So I started really understanding the importance of randomized double-blind controlled trials, and realized there's nothing on vaccines. And you start to question even what's happening with big pharma and all of this. And you start questioning even a global approach, Jason. Well, let's look at the food industry. Let's look at GMOs. Let's look at everything around us. You realize, holy shit, we've been lied to. And, you know, you have a moral obligation, I believe, to really I believe you can be a spectator or you can be a player. You know, you have a choice in life. You can live in fear, or you can, you know, strap on a pair and get out there on the field. And that's what I did. And you know, I just tend to hang around people who are more like me, who are more warriors like you. My wife, Shireen, you know, she's the same. And we just get out there and we tell the truth. And, you know, I think we can live with ourselves. We can go to our grave knowing that we've played full out life, and that we're telling the truth and pulling back the curtain on the naked emperors.
Absolutely. I 100% agreed. And it's interesting, all that you just said now, before 6-7 months ago, that was still crazy talk. And yet the last 6 to 7 months, that has become basically mostly mainstream and growing across the nation, which is really all you and I and our colleagues ever wanted, was people just to ask questions. I can't force someone to not do the injection. I can't force someone to not take the medication or eat the McDonald's or the crappy food or whatever it may be, nor would I want to, because that's not how you and I are wired, and the people around us. It was more of just ask questions so you can make an educated decision for you and your family. That's what we wanted.
And make an educated decision based on fact, based on science, not based out of ignorance or fear. And that's what a lot of people do when it comes to vaccines. So when you get the parent that asks you, hey, what's your opinion on vaccines? Like, oh, have you got it a day and a half? You know, it's just like, here's the resources. Here's what I recommend. Here's why we didn't vaccinate our 4 boys and why they're all healthy. And when you educate people, and it's funny because you talk to patients like that, Jason, they go, yeah, I've always felt that there's something wrong with vaccines. I always wanted to know about autism. And I wanted, you know, I was watching you when you were speaking on the weekend. You did a great job on stage. You started talking about vaccines. And, oh, yeah, that's my boy. He's talking about vaccines. He's pulling back the curtain. So, you know, you're not going to hold back. And I think that's where the patients need to have a balanced sort of perspective, right? Because, and here's what's really important, when all this stuff comes out, I would hate to be a medical doctor. I mean, I got MDs that are friends, but they make their bread and butter from vaccines. When they slam a 5-year moratorium on vaccines, what are they going to do for income? Because all of that's going to be pushed aside. So
100%. All right. Ready to dive in?
Let's do it, man. Okay. POTUS? Where do you want to start?
So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to throw out a disclaimer, because we're not going to mention the letter, not because I don't want to, and not because I'm being suppressed back and anything like that. I'm just being strategic, because this platform, we have a lot of people on. A lot of people might be new or first timers tonight, and I want them to understand what's going on. And Facebook dropped some rules earlier today that are completely insane. But you know what? It's a private company. Now they're breaking some rules. I understand that, but they are a private company. So I'm not necessarily going to abide by their rules. I'm just going to play around the rules. So the 17th letter of the alphabet, I'm going to kind of leave alone. I might call it Voldemort. I might call it something else at the time. But we have been watching this for quite some time, Doc, and it is getting real. And it's interesting because one of the things about today was, and I'm sure you've heard this before as well, so many people go, well, nothing is happening. Nothing is happening. This thing must be just a big conspiracy because nothing is happening. Now, today, some stuff is happening. Would you agree?
Oh, I agree. What most people need to realize is that we're in the 11th hour at 11:59. And this has been ongoing for 20 years. Most people are just you're just coming to the end credits of what's really going on.
Right.
But for those people who are new, like what happened 20 years ago, because, we lost Lincoln, we lost Kennedy, those are trying to make change to the elite, to the establishment, is the military intelligence came out. There's a patriots within the military intelligence, and they said, hey, listen, we got to change this. We know we're screwed. We're seeing our young kids being used as fodder for the Illuminati. We need to make change. And they approached the one person they knew who could be bought, and that was Donald Trump. They needed a person who was brass, who was willing to go out there and tell the truth, who was willing to be a fighter. And yeah, he's got a big mouth, and yeah, he drops a lot of F-bombs. But you know what? This guy is what you need. You need that General Patton. And they asked him to step up. So when people go, oh, nothing's happening, guys, this has been ongoing for 20 years. And right now, this next 4 weeks is the most important time in the history of this planet, in the history of mankind. So for those of you who are listening, get off your ass. You can't be a spectator. You got to be a player. You got to get involved. So hopefully maybe we can give them some suggestions at the end, Jason. But you're living an amazing time right now in history. You really are.
100% agreed. And I'm going to do this by showing my screen, and I'm going to show POTUS. So let me know. Can you see that, Doc?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay,
man.
Good. Perfect. So this is his Twitter feed. I'm going to scroll down, which, by the way, you know what also makes me feel really good is when Rand Paul is on the same page as POTUS, because I'll be honest with you. Rand Paul, Ron Paul are kind of my stable people, as in like from a political standpoint, because they're libertarian, constitutional. And so the fact that Rand is really good friends with POTUS behind the scenes, even though they battled it out in the primaries, I love that he's behind him, because it really kind of also helps prove some stuff out. Now, I'm going to go down.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Too, on the intelligence committee, I love him because he's even saying, if we don't get all the intelligence, we're going to shut down all the agencies, which that's a pretty bold statement as well.
Right. Now, here is the tweet.
Man.
This tweet was 8:41 tonight. I have fully authorized the total declassification of any and all documents pertaining to the single greatest political crime in American history, the Russia hoax. Likewise, the Hillary Clinton email scandal. No redactions. What were you thinking when you saw this?
Well, when I saw this, I went like my heart dropped, because I think the big question was, are we going to run the election and then all this stuff is going to come out, or what did POTUS say before? Promises made, promises kept, right? And he said this, and on stage, that very infamous line, he said, if I were in office, you'd be in prison, right? And he basically said that. And I think what he's doing is he's letting the people know that, hey, I'm going to take action. I'm stepping up. I'm going to be your commander in chief. And everyone knows that Hillary has got a huge body count, that she's crooked. Everyone knows that. I mean, that's a given. So, why are we holding on if we're going to follow the rule of law? And if there's, we're going to reveal all this information, what he's going to do is step up as the commander-in-chief, pull all this information out, and ship her off to Gitmo, or worse.
Or worse. Or worse.
I'm sure a lot of people get the nails and hammers.
And then this is the one I dropped to you right before we went on. Drip to flood. Just in, and I'll actually press on that one. Just in, the Justice Department to hold press conference tomorrow on matter of high national security.
So that's gonna be interesting.
There's actually there it is. So yeah, they're not playing around.
Yeah.
Media advisory tomorrow at 11 a.m. So I want to take you through what I kind of think is happening, and we can chat on this, because we can go deep down this rabbit hole, and then we'll do some Twitter stuff and we'll just chat on it. Now, I don't know if you saw, but I've had Jason Q on before, but I actually, before that, you remember, like I remember, when Hillary collapsed into the black van.
Yeah.
And I think that was that September 11th, 2016. Is that what that was?
Yeah.
Right before the election. Right now, going into that election, we all thought, even obviously we were polling for Trump because it seemed like the right thing to do. But I think all of us were stunned on election night. And we all thought she was basically the shoe-in to become the next president, because they've been talking about it for a long period of time. And we were told she was dehydrated or she had a fainting spell, right? And she was struggling through the whole thing. And then when someone mentioned, I think it went on Twitter probably a month ago or so, and they said that was an arrest. And I went back and looked at it and I went, wait a second. And I re-looked at it and I go, wait, now that I know what I know, and I watched some of the drops from the 17 letter, I was like, wait a second. The people around her, there's no medical doctors necessarily around her that I can tell. There doesn't look like any campaign people around her, because I know some of her campaign people, it was literally just black jackets. And then as she was going down, I mean, they essentially threw her into the van.
Yeah.
Now, did you know that at the time? Were you thinking that, or what were your thoughts on that?
Well, you remember she had a lot of bizarre behavior
right.
all through the campaign at the end. And was it stress? Was it, the other thing that occurred to me was I believe that the military started their invasions into the DUMBs and shut down the adrenochrome production. So maybe I'm wondering, could that have been a lack of adrenochrome? Because you've seen very similar symptoms with a lot of people who've been shut down. There's a video of Jerry Nadler walking away from the podium with Pelosi, and you see he's doing that sort of Tim Conway shuffle up.
Like he shit himself.
Yeah, like he shit himself. And I thought, okay, what's going on there? I'm thinking adrenochrome. Maybe because they've shut down the production of it, that these people are having side effects. You've seen Hillary have like a sort of semi-stroke and a tick reaction as well when she's talking to people. It's not the first time. So, you wonder what's going on. When you saw her, do you remember the one time she was drinking water, she coughed up those green balls?
Yeah.
Water,
Yep.
There's some bizarre behavior going on, and just wonder, like, yeah, that's when they put her in the van. Is this an arrest, or is this her handlers?
Now, doctors, I know doctors. I don't really, I mean, there could be, but I don't see any doctors per se around her. I just see a lot of black jackets.
Yeah.
And then they don't zoom in there, but she goes down and they'll just be like, get in the damn van. Like, I don't know. So they were overheated.
And I don't know a lot about the clones and the clonings, but you've seen clones also, have this sort of response as well. So see how she's almost shutting down, and you've seen Biden do this in the past as well. So yeah, it could be anything, right?
And I did watch I watched one of her video on Hulu earlier this year, or whatever it was, and I got you kind of got to know some of her campaign people around her. And there's nobody in that video that's any part of her campaign that was in her documentary.
Right.
So my thought tonight is, so POTUS does his leadership thing last night where he walks off Marine One after only being at Walter Reed for like 3-4 days, right? So he's come, and you and I both know there's marketing and sales to this. He knows damn well he's got to sell the public, right?
Sure.
So he does this Patton-like walk up to the back balcony, and he doesn't just like take it off. He like
rips it off.
He rips it off, and then he stands there stoically looking like Patton, and then does the salute and walks in.
Yeah. Yeah. And here's the other amazing thing. How many days was he really in the hospital? It was like, I had a cold, right? I beat this thing. You can beat it too. It's not that virulent. It's like a flu. You can get over it. I've taken all these natural remedies, right? So he's actually planting the seeds. At the same time, there was a post where he said that, they're setting new rules for the safety for the vaccine. So what he's doing, he's pushing that down the road, waiting for our Robert F. Kennedy to come out with his findings on the courts on Monsanto and Sanofi and all those GSKs. And they're going to, here's what I predict, they're going to slap a 5-year moratorium on vaccines. And that's just going to really screw this COVID vaccine thing for years.
Damn. And today, I'll tell you, I got a little triggered when Ivanka dropped the whole flu thing. Like, I'm like, what the hell is she doing? But then as you take a step back, because, and I get, trust me, we don't like to be triggered, but natural health doctors who've been through this and watch a lot of kids injured, it's a thing for us. So like when someone comes out promoting that, when you're trying to win this battle, it pisses you off a little bit. But then somebody actually messaged me and said, reverse psychology. She's pushing it hard, meaning they're going to push back against her. And right after that, POTUS said, let's push the FDA faster.
Yeah.
So it could be total reverse psychology. Now, he walks in, And I'll be honest with you, I still don't believe he was at Walter Reed. And I don't even know if that was him last night on the balcony. I don't know.
That I'm glad you brought that up because did you see the video of him in the van?
Yep.
Right, we did his circle around the hospital. I really zoomed in close on that, and I go, that's not POTUS. That's not POTUS. I mean, he had a mask on, but when you looked at his eyes, you looked at his eyebrows, it wasn't him. And I am confident. I even looked at his hands. Trump's got big hands, and this guy had short, stubby fingers.
I don't think his brother's dead, by the way.
No, I think Robert's alive. It could have been Robert. It could have been a body double. But right. When you looked at the pictures, somebody what was on your feed? I saw it, and they actually showed the movement in the back. And somebody said those are cabinets that you would see on a aircraft carrier or submarine or something like that. So this begs the question: watch the waters, Red October, hunt for Red October. We're into Patriot games the last 30 days. And I don't know if he was on a boat or a sub escorting somebody down to Gitmo, or I don't think it was the Greenland airstrip. It's too cold up there. But, maybe he was on a boat. Who knows? But I just question whether he was at Walter Reed as well. It just, the green screen look, the man in the truck and the SUV at the end, it just didn't look normal.
100%. So he finishes up last night. I think it was last night. I don't know. Every day is freaking running into itself now. It's going so like slow but fast at the same time. But then the media goes nuts and he comes out. And then today you have Kayleigh McEnany. So I have a buddy. So I have a buddy up in New Jersey. His name's Jeremy. I love this guy. He's so great. But I love also about him is he's watched politics for a long period of time. And so he's very objective. So I'm objective, but I also have a little bit of conspiracy in me, JFK Jr., stuff like that. But I'm also like 50-50. And then he's really objective. And so when Kayleigh dropped the tweet, or somebody dropped the pictures of Kayleigh with the clock on the back shelf at 10:02, and I'm like, wait a second. There is no chance. I mean, we talk about coincidences, right? What are the coincidences that there is a drop on a Mickey clock at 10:02, and then the press secretary who goes down with the pathogen, and then like a day later, whatever it is, she's giving an interview. What are the chances there's a clock in the back that's at 10:02?
That's not. Wait a second, hold up. It's not 10:02.
What?
It's 10:11.
Yes.
It's 10:12.
Right.
So that means 11.
It looks like 10:10. That's why I say.
Right. So we're looking at October 11th through 12th. That's why I'm talking to you. Is that the possible storm? Is that when they're going to drop the Trump card? I think we need to keep our eye out for those dates. And what is that? Monday, Tuesday next week? What's 10 and 12?
My birthday's on the 14th. I should know this, but I don't.
Monday. So that could be, hey, it might be storm on those dates. Who knows?
So this is my thinking on this. After that, and then this tonight with him dropping these posts and then also, by the way, after that, Praying Medic, who's very objective, drops the bomber plane that came up Trust 17 on the flight records. Did you see that?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. So he drops that, which he's very objective. He doesn't play around. He's not even conspiratorial necessarily. So then I'm driving home talking to another buddy, and I go, this is what I see. The president has essentially sealed the election for outright people that are voting and who are wanting a change and not wanting a change, but wanting us to go in the direction of patriotism. However, my biggest fear right now is that the Dems could rig this in favor using whatever they're going to use to get Biden in, because just as shocked as Hillary's team was 4 years ago, we could be on the opposite end of that, being shocked ourselves. Like, how did the president just lose the election? So in my opinion, even though he's sealed it for all of us, he needs to seal it for across the board. And what could seal that better? And when I mean seal it, I mean like done. For all the people who know there's corruption, but they've never seen anything move, and they're definitely not watching this phenomenon that we're watching. They're not watching behind the scenes every day. What if before the election, either Hillary and or Obama are publicly arrested and the world goes bonkers and it seals his victory.
Yeah. And that's a strong possibility, right? And that could be what we see on 11th and 12th. It might be Hillary and Obama. Could be, right? What if the Dems are on the other side? What if he does bring out JFK Jr. at 17th in Dallas? I mean, think about it. That's jab, jab, right hook right there. I mean, and that just converts the whole world, because then that's where they expose the entire 20 years that we saved, Junior years ago, and this has been played out for 20 years, and it's a done deal. So you think about, Trump is always 5 steps ahead. He's a master chess player. So what would convince those people who are sitting on the fence? And then would they play the kid card too? Would they reveal the sex trafficking? Because people care about what? Animals and kids, right? More than anything else.
Right.
So that might be a possibility. And they have to expose it sometime. What is the best time to expose it without making it look overtly political? So good question. I don't have an answer to that. My crystal ball broke. So.
Well, the other thing too is, and somebody just said it, so it helped remind me, was, and I was telling my other buddy, so he's all about Ben making promises and keeping promises. That's actually something they've been saying during the campaign is
right.
Promises made, promises kept. Well, one of the things that occurred was when Hillary said it's a good thing that Donald Trump is not in charge of the justice system. And as she sat down thinking that was her big moment, he said, or you'd be in jail. And everyone went freaking nuts at the debate stage, right? What if he's setting up to make that last promise kept, which is, and I think she would already be in jail, but remember, we're watching a movie, so we'd see it play out publicly. Like, that makes me think, like, okay, he's going to seal this thing before it's over. Now, whether Obama is sealed before that as well, or that carries into the next term, I don't know, but something's got to happen.
I think it would be Hillary, if anything, because, there's still a lot of people that love Obama.
Right.
They understand it. Like, that's a whole different, bag to open up. But I think everybody understands the issues with Hillary and the rigged elections. They understand, now her ties to Russiagate, her ties to Brennan, CIA, that's all being revealed, and how Obama knew. I think he would be secondary. I think if they expose Hillary at this point, that would get most of the people who are already going to vote for Trump, the Republicans, in a tizzy. And I think, personally, I would love to see JFK Jr. come out of that desk, just kind of break out of the bottom like he did when he was a kid, or something along those lines, and it sort of exposed the whole story. And then the election's basically won, because those people who love Dems would vote for a Kennedy who was basically a Dem. So, God, I wish I could see the future. Really, I wish I could play out. But one thing I do know is I agree with you, Jason. I think it's already played out. I think it's a movie that we're watching. I think it's a done deal. But I think after the election, there could be a little bit of civil unrest, or a lot of civil unrest. And I think what's going to happen is that's when Trump, who's going to be in his second term, is really going to open door number 2. And that might be all this other technology coming out, the free energy and everything else that's going to happen. So I'm curious to know when the storm is and really what it looks like.
Dude, he is on a tweet storm right now. Like, let me show you these tweets. He's on a tweet storm. This one, so this is just him retweeting, Obama knew everything. And then this is my favorite. He retweeted this. For the love of God, arrest somebody.
Do you think he's pissed?
It's almost unbelievable that he is actually retweeting this stuff out to the public. I mean, 35 minutes ago, which was after we went on, he retweeted. So I had to constantly fight off all of this scum. Achieved more than any other president in the first term, and then taught chaos. They created crimes against me and this administration. I mean, dude, he is like,
he's on fire.
Unhinged. He's unhinged at this point.
He's unhinged. He's not going to be sleeping tonight. You probably watch Mini Trump tonight, as a movie. So yeah, he's more than upset. There you go.
Yeah, you could definitely say that. Now, the other thing is too, which we've talked about before, and I truly feel like there's a little bit of strategy. I mean, there's obviously a lot of strategy, but a little bit of interesting play behind the scenes because RFK Jr. So obviously, the president keeps talking about what is it, warp speed, which he talks about delivering, quote unquote, the vaccine. Now, he's said it so many times in such a way, and now that he's just finished the whole his whole sickness without needing anything, I know a lot of people become unhinged over this because obviously they don't want a mandatory vaccine. They're really against it. I get it. They're in our community. They're in your community as well. But the way he keeps highlighting it, the way he highlights it, makes me believe he is basically typing or he's talking in code for handling other people, handling the deep state, whatever it is. And this ties to RFK Jr., who is kind of a mystery because he's actually very, very heavy Dem. He has backed Hillary. You've been, I believe, around him, or you know of him. He's been in our worlds a little bit. I've never met him. I've listened to him talk. But how can you not bring him in when he is literally suing 74 pharmaceutical companies right now over vaccines? Like, this has to play in this somehow, almost from a distance.
It does. I remember, if you remember, a couple of years ago, he actually asked RFK, and just this is RFK Jr., the lawyer.
Yes.
He asked him to basically run a sort of committee on researching vaccines, and there's a big hoopla over that. So they sort of parted ways, decided not a great idea. But I think what he did, he basically is sort of in the back room funding him or helping him or assisting him to really go after these pharmaceuticals. Trump knows. He's not stupid. He knows the vaccines is causing sickness. I mean, this is part of the whole revelation that we're seeing with regards to big pharma and the GMOs and Monsanto's, is that they have been creating sickness and disease and making your kids sick. You know, when Trump says save the children, he's just not talking about the kids in sex trafficking, the kids in the dumb. He's talking about the kids that are being diseased by big pharma. And basically, for those who don't know, Robert F. Kennedy just took the big four. It was not just his law firm. There's a few others. They took him to court. And they didn't go on vaccine damage. What they went on safety and efficacy of vaccines. And basically, these guys got caught with their pants down. And when the judge says, you know, where's your research? Big Pharma went, well, we don't have any. And it was like, WTF, you don't have any research on safety and efficacy, which means you've never done the trials. You've never looked at long-term effects. You've never, done control trials and placebo. And that will expose them as naked emperors. And what's happened, and this is where the suggestion was, now we need a 5-year moratorium. So much like we have Tom Fitton. Tom Fitton does a great job at judicial law.
Yes, he does.
He's suing people, he's bringing people. It's looking non-political, but these are really extensions of Trump. These are people who back Trump, who support him. So you've got Robert F. Kennedy on vaccines, you got Tom Fitton, and then you got all your intelligence community, right? You got Barr, you got all these guys who are doing all the stuff with the DOJ and the FBI. And Trump's just, he's just wiping his hands clean because it would be political if he did it. So he's got an army. It's a silent army, digital soldiers, and everyone's taking all these people down, which is just a beautiful thing. So you have to sort of look beyond the sort of the curtain and see what's really happening.
I have a theory that he may not be funding them directly, but maybe through other families, people. Yeah. Like I actually, I watched this video with now I'm forgetting his name. Basically, another billionaire on YouTube who did an interview and said there's a lot of billionaires that are actually supporting Trump right now, not from a standpoint.
Five major ones that are funding.
Yeah. And from a standpoint of like finally just taking hit of the corruption, because there are billionaires out there that actually want to do good for the world. Yeah. And I think there's some people behind him that are helping obviously push this whole thing, but also possibly to almost shield money in a way, not illegally, but to kind of mask it so it doesn't look like it's coming from Trump, to people like maybe RFK, because you still got to fund that whole system. But then like Del Bigtree, like I've met him, great guy. I asked him personally one time, like, hey dude, how are you flying around the place? Literally like in person. And he goes, I can't give up those details right now. And I'm like, okay, what you're doing costs a lot of money.
Sure does.
And you and I've been behind the scenes. I had dinner with him. He is a really good guy who is on course to help handle this vaccine problem. But somebody has to be funding that. I know there's a story that came out a little bit ago, and there was a family involved. I don't remember what they were, but I believe he has wings in different areas to fix this whole thing where the money is funding things.
Yeah, I agree. And, I think this has been well planned out over the years. I think it's genius what they're doing. Everything from funding the wars on different angles to, how they're basically, doing this whole production, because this takes a lot of manpower, a lot of money to do. And they are literally 5 steps ahead of what you see with the deep state. The deep state is screwed. I mean, it's game over at this point. Now, my concern, they might pull a false flag. But I was just reading how the military has intercepted a number of these already and have shut it down. So it's all good. It's all over. It's just a movie. And we get
it's all a movie, man. So you know what? That's a good point. A lot of people don't necessarily understand what that means. Give us your take on that, because a lot of people go, I don't want to be part of the movie. And I think a lot of people are, for the first time in their lives, really getting involved with politics. What is your theory and idea behind what that is? Because I understand the whole movie aspect, because you can't do this in front of everybody or the public will panic. But give us your take on that.
Well, it's sort of like Lord of the Rings. I mean, it's a bunch of movies that have already been filmed, edited, and you're hearing about this great movie that's being filmed in New Zealand. But really, you're going to be able to watch it. It's already happened, and you're going to be able to watch it very shortly. So I do believe that the 10 Days of Darkness hasn't happened. I believe that there is going to be a little bit of shock and awe where they're going to shut down the whole system and say, everyone, hey, get some popcorn. You're our bitch for 10 days. You're going to sit and watch this 8-hour loop 3 times a day, and we're going to reveal everything. We're going to wake up the world. And you're just going to take your cough medicine and you're going to accept it. And I think that's actually a good strategy, that you just have to sort of shock and awe people. I think it's going to cause a lot of psychosis in a lot of people, but I think that's one of the best ways to sort of reveal really what's going on in the world versus drip, drip, drip and drip it out slowly. But they have to be exposed. I think they're already filling up, getting what most people don't realize. I think the number of indictments are up to 600,000.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, I think so. It's well over 500,000 now. I think it's up to 600,000. But what basically is happening, for those who don't know, is Trump has communications with the military in multiple countries. So when they pull the trigger on this, there's going to be over 500,000 arrests. Now think about that, 500,000 people. These are people who are CEOs. These are elites. These are bankers. These are drug company people who have been in the know. The NSA has everything. When they say we have everything, they've had everything the last 20 years. So every phone call, every email, they've accumulated this. They have a whole branch just north of me near Washington, and they have a farm, and they've been basically accumulating everything, and they're going to be releasing it. And that's what this is all about. So it's going to be a whole change. It's a flip flop of really what's happening in the world. You're going to see a lot of money that's been stolen from people. The income tax that we have been paying out, most people don't realize 67% of that, guess where it goes, Jason? It went to the Queen. It went to the City of London via the Queen, and then half of that money went to the Vatican. So your income tax, which has actually been illegal, has been shuffled off to the islands, the British Isles, and then off to the Vatican. And that's how they've accumulated a lot of wealth. So apparently the military has actually taken back over 100 trillion from that system, and another 100 trillion here. So there's about $200 trillion that are supposed to be repatriated back to people of the planet, which is really interesting.
Welcome to a debt jubilee if that occurs.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, hello. So $200 trillion, you can't even fathom that. We worry about a $23 trillion debt. I mean, it's all fiat currency in the first place.
You know who I heard went off the radar? This guy. Do you know who Bill Binney is?
No, I'm not familiar with him.
Oh, former NSA tech director for the movie A Good American. He was I believe he was not head of NSA, but he basically knows where the bodies are buried from the NSA. And Robert David Steele talks about him all the time. And he used to be heavily in. He actually knows exactly how to take the whole system down. He also knows how to build up the entire Web 3.0 with decentralization as well as encryption and complete privacy for every citizen.
Cool.
Yeah. So he actually it looks like he posted 23 hours ago, but somebody said that he's been quiet in the DC Beltway for a little bit because they've been wanting him to be in touch with the president, because if he is, I mean, this thing is literally like, if Benny gets involved, game is really over.
Well, it's bigger than what most people think it is, and I think we're like a little tadpole in the pond in the far corner of an ocean, thinking that's our universe. But I think when everything's going to be revealed, people are going to be shocked. I mean, this is just a tip of the iceberg that we're seeing.
100%. Let me go through some. Let's see if we can find some tweets. This is all live here. So President Trump tweeted a minute ago, if I am sent a standalone bill for stimulus checks of $1,200, it will go out to our great people immediately. I am ready to sign now. Are you listening, Nancy? So he is calling her Papadopoulos, who was taken down by the deep state, was in Trump's cabinet technically. Should be a hell of a week.
She's drunk, sir. You have to contact her before. Would you like some chocolate chip mint? She might be in the bottom drawer of her fridge too.
There's Jenna Ellis. So Jenna Ellis is actually Jenna Ellis is part of his senior legal advisor team. So she's dropping bombs tonight, and she trolls people like crazy. Like, she knows what she's doing. Trump card Bruno Barking does some really good stuff. Grinnell is dropping stuff. Proof: Obama, Biden directed their administration to use the powers of government to attack POTUS campaign and then transition. The Susan E. Rice email to herself after the Oval Office was part of a cover-up. Are you shocked in this day of Twitter, which obviously was not around years and years ago when there were other administrations, even the Bushes, etc.? Are you stunned that this information would have never been publicly released before? Like, not even just publicly released, like the government said it's okay to put it out there, but like, this is real-time battle.
It's real time. I mean, you can think something, and literally 30 seconds later, you can have a picture of hunters hunters become the hunted, and you can have it across to thousands of people. So I mean, this is amazing, because the only challenge is if they control the narrative and are censoring people, that becomes a problem. So,
well, the other thing they have in their back pocket now, a week ago maybe now, there was an interesting video and an interesting news break, which was Brad Parscale supposedly had a breakdown, psychotic breakdown, and it was supposedly a domestic violence problem with his wife. And the night before, the night of it happening, it was like the president came out and said, I'm thinking about him. We're behind him all the way. We'll get him taken care of, whatever's going on. But basically, like, he went ballistic, went off the wall, and like maybe beat his wife up or whatever it was. Yeah. The next morning, there's a video that puts out on Twitter with him literally coming out of his house. I think he had a beer in his hand, and he's literally just walking up, like trying to say, hey, I'm here. Let me talk to you real quick about what's going on. And he was talking to an officer, and then out of nowhere, an officer literally just tackles him to the ground in the road.
Wow.
Now, as Parscale, months ago, in the middle of the whole pandemic, Parscale had a little video where he said that at the right time, they're going to have some sort of network or channel that there will be 100 million plus Americans that we can be in contact with at any time.
Like that. So their own Facebook, their own Twitter, or are they referring to taking over through emergency powers? Because Trump can do that. Thank you, Barack Obama, who set that up. That allows Trump to take it over. So if he wants to, he can take over Twitter and Facebook in a half a day.
Oh, totally, 100%. And then here, here's a good one. I don't know if people know, but there's great reporters out there still. People like Sarah Carter and John Solomon. Yes. Sarah Carter, who is a journalist, is saying greatest president ever, thank you, over his declassed tweet. Like, That's her stepping out of her journalistic quote unquote integrity and saying, finally, something's getting done. Dude, uncharted territory.
Yeah, two other great people, and I know you follow Martin Geddes. He's
Yeah.
CJ Truth. He's great as well.
What does CJ have tonight? I have not checked. Anything?
Not sure. There he is, right there.
This is so he busted out the declassified. That's going around like crazy tonight, and he say this is pretty serious.
He's pretty real time.
Yeah, so he's been dropping some stuff. Looks like he's been going a lot of declass, a lot of memes, etc. It is happening 1 hour ago. So that declass is going around like crazy right now. And then Martin, I don't know what Martin has said tonight, if he's said anything recently. He's been a little beat up. Like he's a very analytical dude. So he takes it on the chin when people punch back at him a little bit. He's a good guy. I actually reached out to him. He got right back to me. Really, really good guy.
Yeah.
But he very objective, very scientific. He's retweeting a lot of interesting stuff. But he's a cool guy. Anything you want to add before we answer some questions, sir?
Yeah, I mean, we take some questions, Jason, but I think it's important that for the people who are listening, I know a lot of you are either excited or you're upset or you're kind of scared, but they can't stop all of us. And whether you consider yourself an Anon or RQ or whatever you are, I think it's important that you guys get involved. Like, I got involved here in Virginia with Virginia Freedom Keepers, just because I have a bit of background on understanding vaccines. They're trying to push the mandated vaccines, and I don't think it's going to go through. I think POTUS is going to protect that. But there's a large group of people here in Virginia, and you can just Google Freedom Keepers in your state and get involved. Go to the rallies, start speaking out, take your knowledge and go wake up 10 other people and challenge them to wake up 10 people. Give them the resources. But this is the most important. I guess we have 28 days, right? We're down to 4 weeks. So this is the most 20. And everyone that's listening, do not be a spectator. Be a player. Get involved, because the alternative of the left winning and Biden becoming president, I shudder that thought. And even Trina would say, like, where are we going to go? I said, no, we're going to stay and fight. And I think that's important, is that you need to rally your friends, your family. Don't worry if they think you're crazy. Don't worry. People think we as chiropractors have been crazy for 30 years since we've been in this profession. Just speak the truth. And even if your voice shakens when you speak the truth, but you don't want to go to your grave knowing you could have, you should have, and you didn't. And that's regret. I don't want you guys to have that at the very end. So really just be able to step up, stand up, speak up. Because on November 4th, when we all wake up, we just want this to be a glorious, a time in humanity, and it's going to be good for everybody. So our kids, their kids. Yeah.
Here you go. This is how serious it is. Congressional Representative Doug Collins. The evidence is clear. Hillary Clinton was behind the coup to take down real Donald Trump all along, and the Obama-Biden administration knew everything. Durham is coming. That is from a high-ranking sitting member of House of Representatives in Congress, man.
And if you know Durham has this. He's known as
the Punisher.
Punisher, right? So what's important to understand is that when you are involved in a coup against the president, that is treason. And treason, and POTUS just had this passed, is punishable by death. And there's 4 different stages. I talked about this before. There's one, you're stepping down, like I think it's 1,200 CEOs have stepped down in the last 3 years. 2, you're charged. 3, you go to prison. 4, you're swinging from a rope and not into a river. you're hanging from the gallows. So, and that's why they've actually put $500 million in Gitmo. They've got it ready to go. It's all military tribunals, which means you pretty well go in there, you're screwed. It's just
how much did they put into it?
500 million in Gitmo. Yeah, that's a lot of money, and they've updated it, and basically the courts there, but you can't put 500,000 people there. So I don't know if they can put them in prisons around the world, but think about this. You look at like the Nazi trials, and there was maybe a couple hundred Nazis, but this is 500,000 indictments. 500,000 indictments. An indictment is basically a charge that's sealed or non-sealed that's ready to go. And basically it's like, we have everything on you. You know, how do you plead? Guilty. Do you want lethal injection? Do you want to take Ramel's death and take the cyanide pill? So this is going to be, and you know, it's important too. And this is where I think is really important is, you know, we can have compassion, put these people in prison, or you can just weed your garden. And I'm going to take the badass approach. I think if these people have done crimes to children, if these people have murdered, I think they should be put down, and but other charges put into prison. That's just my personal opinion. But I think it's important that we sort of just rid the earth of this blight, because it's evil. This is pure evil. We'll talk about that, where that evilness comes from, because that's not the true spirit of humanity, of love and peace and servitude. That's the human spirit right here. And what you're seeing here is something that's more sinister, more nefarious, more probably extraterrestrial than anything, that's causing these people to be the sick, evil, bastards they are, that are doing what they're doing, because that's not just the human spirit. So it's going to be interesting times coming up.
So here's a question I got. There's a lot of questions coming in, but here's one, and it actually happened to come up as I was scrolling this one. So I'll show this and I'll ask you, what are your thoughts on, and I've made my thoughts clear on NESARA, GESARA, not saying they're going to happen. I just think something is going to happen in the financial system. What are your thoughts on the financial system? You know economics, you follow G. Edward Giffen like I have, you understand the Federal Reserve. What do you think occurs with finance? This tweet won't happen. A gold standard would keep the Federal Reserve honest. More likely is they're getting ready to roll out a digital currency, all the better to track us with. I don't think that's correct. Utsava, who I think you know Utsava a little bit.
Yeah.
Not true. The Federal Reserve are taken over by the U.S. government. Gold-backed dollar will come out next year. Wait and see. What are your thoughts on that whole thing?
Yeah, if you Google, you might want to try this, a gold-backed U.S. dollar, and see.
Yeah.
I've seen it before. It's the Treasury now owns it. The Federal Reserve, I from my understanding, has been shut down. Correct me if I'm wrong, Jason. But the Treasury has taken over the monetary system, and the whole idea is with GESARA and NESARA coming in, it's basically they're just going to reset the whole system. So all debt is wiped out. I believe even the student loans, for those of your students, it's going to get wiped out, because it's actually an illegal loan. You can't be charging interest on something that you don't have backing for. You can't give money unless you have to go back. So it's actually an illegal loan.
Usury is illegal.
Yeah, usuries are illegal. And basically, it's going to be a reset on everything. And they're going to come out. My understanding is this, we talked earlier, this $100 trillion or $200 trillion is going to be repatriated back to people as a gold-backed currency, of a new worldwide currency. So there's a lot of, and POTUS has talked about this. He said, we're going to be spreading the wealth. And that's what he meant, that, whether it's $40, $50, $100,000 per person, we're resetting, here's some money, let's stimulate the economy, make it a beautiful world. He's talked about that. Wait till you see it's going to be better than ever before. And that's what he's referring to.
Yeah, it's actually interesting. So again, I also am very, very cautious on this one, because I get very objective on this. But I actually spoke to another chiropractic colleague on the way home who does a lot of the finance stuff with me and crypto and things like that. And the Fed is actually saying that they can spend until, like, there's no limit. They came out again and said something today, and I go, and he really looks at bonds and yields and things like that, and he's like, this is not actually physically, naturally possible what they're doing. It's going beyond anything we've ever seen before. There is no coming back from this. And I said, I think POTUS knows this. And I think in a weird way, POTUS has had a few bankruptcies on businesses in the past. He actually knows how to restructure things. And I go, I think he is burying the Fed 6 feet under. And my buddy said he's blowing up the balance sheet to the point where there is no return, so that they have to flip over a reset. There's no way around it. And whether
there's no way out, you have to. It's like you're in free fall without a parachute. There's no going back. So, and that's why a lot of this stimulus spending that they have, they're just pushing money out. And all he's going to do is inflate it to 24, 25 trillion. It's now 100, 120,000 for every person in the United States. Oh, we can't. Let's just reset. Hit the reset button. Bring it down, or maybe just give the bill to the Chinese for the Wuhan virus or something.
There's a little snapshot of what might be the rainbow currency. I don't know for sure, but that's what they claim.
Yeah, so it's basically a new gold-backed currency, and my understanding is that every man, woman, child in the States is going to get a nice big check of this, and that's going to help stimulate the economy. And what better way to do that than money owed to people that you've actually paid out illegally in your income tax? And it's just going to allow everyone to reset the economy and worldwide as well. So it's going to just create a lot of wealth worldwide, or at least allow people to pick themselves up and get going again.
It's funny that I've had a couple people, claim, friends too, saying like, wait a second, we can't just give a bunch of money out. That's socialism, et cetera. And I have to really bring up the point again, the fact that, first of all, we were lied to into this system. This system is completely criminal, corrupt. We have been paying suppressive taxes that are illegal my entire lifetime, probably your entire lifetime as well, from what I recall. And yes, I agree. We don't want to necessarily just give money away for free. However, every single man, woman, child on this earth so far at this point that is living has been stolen from, to the point where there could be reparations for something like that, because we're all affected. It's not like a race thing. We've literally all financially been affected. And at the same time, it was done by a third party corporation that fraudulently got put in to place by Congress, when in reality, our treasury is supposed to create the money and create based off of a standard. So right. I don't agree with that whole thing of we can't do this because that's just giving free money out. I don't look at it that way.
It's stolen money. It's repatriated money. That's all it is. And whether it's $40,000, $50,000, $100,000 per person, now think about this. This is a great reset for the waiters and waitresses that have been out of work for months, or for the businesses that had their restaurants burned down, or whatever. Imagine you get a check for $100,000 for every man, woman, and child. It's like, damn, I can get myself back up and going. It's not going to make you wealthy, but it's going to allow you to go and spend and have food, clothes, and put your kids in private school, whatever it might be, but to get going again. I think that's where the whole world reset. The money's being repatriated. We've stolen it from the crooks. We put the crooks in prison. We've got the money back, and we have a brand new system that's true gold back. It's not owned by the banksters, right? And right. You get into the Talmudian mafia that's really started all this and stolen all our money. And basically, it's a global reset, is what this is.
Yes, and somebody says who would go. And by the way, any more questions? Bring them in. We'll do questions for a little bit before we head out. Somebody say who would work. By the way. Even if you implemented Nisera Jacera, the president of the United States is not a person who is going to say, okay, everyone gets so much money they never work again. No, he's a producer, meaning, and if by the way, if you have questions about bills, should I pay them or not? Pay your damn bills. Like, this doesn't mean life goes away and we get to sit on the couch the rest of our life. No, it means that there might be some things taken care of, like some loans and mortgages here or there and some student stuff, but it doesn't mean going forward, by the way, it doesn't mean that the poorest person is going to be taken off the street and given a lap of luxury, because at the end of the day, we're human beings. Some of us really drive to achieve every day. Some people don't drive to achieve every day. There will still most likely be some sort of class system, not that we put on people, but not everyone is driven to achieve. And some people are going to make mistakes in life. Some people are going to do some drugs. Some people are going to make bad choices. It doesn't take away from free will. I mean, would you agree?
Yes, and I agree, but also consider too, once the veil is lifted and you've got natural therapies and people are off the drugs and you're getting rid of this crap TV and people really start to understand their true spiritual nature, then your passion's going to come up. Maybe you'll stay home and you'll paint, or maybe you'll be creative at home, or maybe you don't have to worry about earning money. You'll go out and be a rocket scientist because that's your passion. That creativity, that's really part of our humanity, is going to be exposed, because now you're not going to be suppressed anymore. You start to elevate into 4, then 5D, and then that's when that true creativity comes out, and it's no longer work, but it's play. Like we don't work, Jason. You and I, this is play to us. We are passionate about what we do. We love what we do. It's not like, oh frick, I got to get up in the morning and I want to watch the General Hospital. No, we're way beyond that, and we go and serve humanity. And I think that's where you're going to see an elevation in the rest of humanity as well.
Somebody asked you, what are your thoughts on natural healthcare going forward? What do you see there?
Oh, you know what I think? I think it's going to be a floodgate for natural healthcare. Because think about this. When the truth comes out in vaccines, when the truth comes out in drugs, and especially when you look at a lot of the drugs that are leading to Parkinson's and Alzheimer's and all of the pathologies that we see, the chronic neurological conditions that we see, when the natural therapies come out, right? That's where, zinc, the vitamin Ds, and all the natural detoxification process and the parasitic cleanses and things like that, a lot of practices like yours would do and ours would do. When that happens, what you're going to see is this movement towards getting back to the earth, getting back to a natural alternative. People are going to want to go to a chiropractor and get their spine adjusted and stay neurologically clear. They're going to want to allow that expressive spirit to flow from above down, inside out through chiropractic or natural living, exercise, nutrition. And I think that's the next sort of evolution we're going to see as people are moving towards 5D and a natural approach to healthcare. So I think you're going to see a change in what we see in medicine. It's still going to be there. It's going to have an important role, but I think you're going to see people's health change dramatically, especially if we do have some sort of higher level intervention. Jason, and I are talking about, and the cancers are changed around, the arthritis are changed around, and a lot of this nefarious stuff that's happened in the past is sort of removed from our diseased bodies.
I have a couple questions for you. The first thing, though, I want to say is I looked up, and for several seconds, it was stuck on the viewer number was 1776, just for the record. Now, I have a direct question to you that somebody asked, and only you can answer this probably, or at least have an idea. How do you think Canada fits in this whole thing?
Well, it's funny you're asking me the other night. I sent you a quick text. I don't know if you saw Justin Trudeau, who's our prime minister there, is unfortunately, I think he's going to be caught up in this. He hangs around a lot of pedophilic friends, and he's connected to Soros. So I think once Canadians find out what's going on, they're gonna lynch him. I really do. I see Canada right now. It's going, because it's a socialistic democracy is what it is. It's very similar to the States, but there's more of a middle class than you would see here in the States. But I think what you're going to see is there's going to be a change in Canada as well. Right now, there's too much of a stronghold of the Chinese Communist Party in Canada. They sold out a lot of natural resources to China. There's a strong influence there. So I think there's going to be a massive change in Canada as well. Similar to what you'll see in the UK. I think the UK is going to be slashed and burned. I really do. I think you're going to see a lot of those people in Parliament just get hauled out and sent off to prison. Same with Australia, with the Australian Prime Minister in Victoria. They're probably going to lynch him and take him out in the streets and pull a Mussolini. But I love my country. I love living in the States. I feel I'm here for a reason to play a bigger role. But, when I look at, especially the Canadians who are listening, you got to stand up to Trudeau. He's just dragging that country down, bringing more debt. And I think it'll go the way that we're seeing with the States. But I think you are seeing right now is more influenced by CCP.
That makes sense. Question. Another one for you is because now I want to know statewide, how are you guys doing? What's the status, and where do you think you're going in Virginia up there where you are?
Well, the other night, POTUS said, he commented on Northam, who's our governor here. He says he's an evil man, and I think he's just lost. I know somebody who knows him personally, and he's just a puppet. Someone else is pulling the strings. Tonight he just revealed that you have to wear a mask in the restaurants, but you can take it off to eat and have to put it back on. So that's bullshit. Like, who's going to do that, right? So
it's so stupid.
Beyond stupid. He's trying to restrict gun rights. They had a rally of 35,000 people were on the Capitol Hill here a little while ago. A lot of guys had their AKs and ARs. It's like, you're not taking our guns away. POTUS mentioned that he's going to protect the Second Amendment, which is massive. Because you have to understand, if your First Amendment and your Second Amendment are gone, we're screwed, and you have to retain those. So we live in a free country, well, apparently a free country, a democracy that we can speak up. We have a right to speak up, and we have a right to bear arms. And any government that in history, if you follow anywhere in history, any government that's taken away the arms of the people usually ends up suppressing and killing its people. So. I think he's going to go down too. Once all this is revealed, I think you're going to see the governor of Virginia get hauled in as well.
Nice. I have a couple more juicy questions for you. Ready? You're allowed to go as far down the rabbit hole as you want.
We're on the surface.
I know we haven't
even gone in it yet.
We're not even gone in yet. What do you think happens to the Vatican and when?
Wow, I think you're going to see. I think the Vatican has already been. They've already hauled the Pope off. They've probably executed him already. Personally, that's just my personal opinion. But I think what's going to happen is when all this is revealed, when you have the indictments and they start really pulling back the curtain on what's happening, they're going to reveal the truths deep in the vaults of the Vatican. They've actually been in the Vatican. They've revealed a lot of bones of children that were down there. So a lot of satanic rituals and things like that. The Vatican is not a Catholic diocese. It's not a religious order. It is about the Jesuits. It's a form of mafia. They're very evil, very nefarious, and that's going to be real. That's going to shock a lot of the world, a lot of Catholics as well, especially in Italy.
100% true. I agree. Okay, here is the thing that we bounce back and forth all the time. I get to ask you publicly, what the hell is the storm in December or whatever might be coming? This is where we get to go down a fun road, because this is just, you can spiritual. This could be anything you want. But what do you like? I've talked to Red Collie. You've communicated back and forth with him as well. That we have the whole political thing that's occurring, but then we have possibly a whole separate event that is actually planetary. Like, what are your opinions, ideas on this theory on that? We've talked a little bit, but like we're both kind of going back and forth.
Yeah, I'm kind of scared shitless, to be honest, about this storm, because I follow Red Collie. If you want to follow him on Twitter, it's Red Collie 1. And he is was he a PhD, a physicist?
Caltech, yeah. DNA, UFOs, time travel, you name it.
Dude, he's been following. He's deciphered a lot of the crop circles over the years, and basically, yeah, that's him right there. Really interesting guy to follow. Horse Drew, Red Collie 1. But he talks about, he follows what's called Mr. Poole, and apparently Mr. Poole is looped backwards, and basically what it is he's supposed to be a time traveler or something like that. I'm not 100% sure, but basically he says that the storm is actually some sort of solar flare, some sort of ET sort of invasion of some sort that happens around December 20th, 21, 22, just before Christmas. And he might be right. I mean, when you sort of decipher this, you see what's happening. And, when Trump refers, nothing can stop what's coming. When you look at indictments and you look at revealing what's going to happen worldwide, anyone can stop that. I mean, that could actually be sort of arrested. It could be stopped. But when you talk about the storm and nothing can stop what's coming, right, there might be something a little deeper. That's why he's got Space Force. Space Force they've had for decades now. Don't fool yourself. That was what they called a surrender back in 1952. That was a flyover ETs over Washington saying, "Bitches, we own you. Stay off the moon. That's our satellite. Do not, don't play with us. We have an agreement with Eisenhower, and that gets deep when they talk about using humans as food, the adrenochrome and things like that. But I think part of what's happening is we're fighting back, and it could be a solar flare, it could be some sort of, and they talk about not invasion, infiltration versus invasion. Right. So who knows? Deep 4C. There's a lot of things that are up in the air. I'm just reading a lot of different things. It's kind of interesting. There's nothing I can do about it. Jason, there's nothing you can do about it. It's just a movie. No. You have to ride along with it. It's like a wave. But I think it's going to be something that's really going to change the world. And I think it might be just more of a revealing of new energies, new transportation, things like that too. Who knows?
Well, it's interesting you said that too.
I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know.
Yeah, no. But it was interesting. I'm looking for Poole because I don't remember his handle, but I'll find it at Collie at some point here when I scroll through. But it's interesting you just said that, because this is a storm that even POTUS said, the calm before the storm, essentially not even POTUS can stop this.
Right.
Like not even Trump can stop it. That it's coming, but you brought up something that was fascinating that I didn't even think about before, because I didn't realize that was called the surrender moment when they were over the Capitol building. And Eisenhower committed to the treaty.
He did.
Right? Which there was technology and there was a whole bunch of other stuff that were given in exchange for, unfortunately, human lives.
Yeah.
But the surrender was stay off the moon. That's our territory. That's our satellite. I did not think of it that way before. Is that from your Ike readings, or is that other stuff you've looked into?
Yeah, a lot of guys from Ike, a couple guys on the internet and YouTube as well. And basically, think about this. When you look at the moon is always facing the Earth. You never see the dark side, right? Even though it does spin around, but you're always seeing one side of the planet. And yeah, this is a great quote. If you guys haven't seen this, do you have volume on that, Jason?
I don't, not yet. Just him talking, calm before the storm.
Yeah, what is it? You'll find out. We got great military people in this room. He says, you'll see. Calm before the storm. What storm, Mr. President?
You'll find out.
So,
go ahead. I'm sorry to interrupt you on that.
Yeah, no. It's just he knows what's coming. So how does he know what's coming? Is this somebody from the future? Is this something that's being revealed to him? Is the whole game planned out? And at the very end, does something happen? It's like, the scary thing, Jason, when you and I go down the rabbit hole and you're down like 5 levels deep, like we are, and you start realizing this stuff, and it's scary. It's like maybe you don't want to know. You just wait till it happens and just go with it, because it's almost sickening in the sense you realize that you're a prisoner on this planet. David Icke was right. If you really want to get down to the dirty, go into David Icke and start reading his stuff. What's the paper you gave me too? I can never remember the guy's name. The papers, Wes Penny,
yeah.
And start reading that stuff. You just realize the whole course of humanity, and what's really transpired over the decades, over the centuries, and we're just a prisoner on this planet. And it's kind of scary, and really what's happening. But I think humanity is fighting back. We've been here before. Probably this is the 3rd time, but this time it's designed to win, so we can be freed up. And I think there's forces. Earth is a no-go zone. Some have broken that treaty, and I think it's time that sort of the good guys are coming to our rescue and helping out. And I think that's what's happening. I think that's part of the storm.
And a lot of people don't understand that if you go by some theories, I'm not saying it's true or not true. I have my opinions on it, but that we are a slave planet, Anunnaki. We're here to mine minerals. Gold is part of their energy source, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I'll let you go down those rabbit holes when you want to on your own time, folks. You can read the books, but I've read through that. Doc has read through that. It's a very, very interesting area. And it's interesting because there's a lot of different people in archaeology, in science, in biology, et cetera, who are also talking that theory, as in it makes a lot of sense and it proves itself out in a lot of ways. Again, I'm not saying it's true or not. I have my opinions on it, but it will actually start lining things up more if you look at that, because it makes other things make sense.
And what's scary is, when we've been in the rabbit hole for, 20, 25 years, Jason, we read this. And you go, yeah, right. You read about the draconians from Ike. I go, Ike, you're crazy. And then you see somebody else talking about it. And you see William Cooper talking about it, and all these other guys, Jim Mars. And you start to see it, the same pattern repeating itself, the human mutilations and the same patterns over and over again. You start to think, damn, maybe these guys are right. And you start to realize that they are right. And that's why we call it the awakening. For us, it's been a great awakening for decades for most people. I think when the truth comes out, I don't think personally most people are going to be able to handle it, Jason. That's my biggest concern. I think there's going to be a lot of people who are going to lose their shit, and when you really find out what's happening. So all I can tell is stay tuned with Jason, stay strong. Sort of desensitize yourself with this stuff. Stay locked and loaded. Have some extra water. because I think we're in for a bumpy ride, and not just the next 4 weeks, but the next
months.
year. Yeah, because even the storm they talked about, it could happen December. Other people say, May and June. It might be a solar flare. It might change a lot of things. Who knows?
100%. This is Mr. Poole's Twitter feed, and I am not even going to pretend to know what the hell he's tweeting about. It's a lot of code. Red Collie is definitely more on this, and by the way, for the record, I tried to follow him months ago, and I'm still pending. He hasn't even accepted me. There's only so many people. He's 13,100. There's only so many anons who are even on his radar. But he posts some very interesting stuff here and there, and Collie seems to know it.
It's all code, and Collie does decode this. He decodes it with, I can't remember the system he uses.
Yeah.
Everything is in code for some reason. So.
Yeah, totally. So as we head out tonight, because we were having some fun, but we'll come to closure here. What I always say, and I'm going to give Doc the final here, because he always expresses it really well. I always end the show with, please do me a favor. Well, first of all, prep. Have your Second Amendment stuff ready, just in case this goes south or there's part of it that's not good. You have to be ready to go. Your bug out bags, your survival items, have your food prepared. Anything in preparation the best you can. Again, I'm hoping we don't have to use it, but good things happen when you are prepared technically. It makes you on the ready. And then also, I'm a frequency guy. I deal in the quantum every day, both from a nutritional standpoint, but also a chiropractic standpoint. Like we own this world. We understand this world from a healing standpoint. And it's not just chiropractic, because if you go back to the founders of chiropractic, you'll actually understand they knew far more about quantum than most everyone knows today, because they were in that world of energy. And so I always tell people, serve and help somebody tomorrow, today, tonight, this week, this weekend, because when we all do that, the awakening is happening. And as more people wake up, it raises the frequency, the vibration of not only your household, your community, your state, your country, your planet. That's what actually forces this to go through. So even if something bad was going to occur, we actually have the ability consciously to change what is going to occur to a positive route. So that's my closing. But Doc, take us away with that road, with that idea, and what you would want to express.
Yeah, if I follow the Schumann frequency. If you follow the Schumann frequency, you follow it on YouTube, you can follow it on Twitter, and it's really the vibrational energy of the earth. And with the Great Awakening, we are seeing this tend to vibrate more and more and more. So there is a collective consciousness. You've heard of the butterfly effect, how a thought can create a hurricane on the side of the planet. Well, the same with your positive thoughts. We are connected spiritually, and you can think somebody well, you can think somebody bad. I'm trying to remember the Japanese author who looked at vibrational energies into water, and then they crystallized it, and they put like hardcore music into it versus a Bach or Beethoven, and I saw the changes. The same with human thought and consciousness. When you put it out there and you vibrate at a different level, and especially one of love and peace, don't get down to their level, because they want you in a state of fear. They want you to hate. They want you to be jealous. They want you to rat on your neighbor. That vibrational energy is how wars are created. Take the higher road. Take a higher road of love. Serve humanity. Look to do one kind thing to a person every day. Just spend a little more time with your kids. Read to them. Take your dog for a walk. Go enjoy some fresh air. Say hello to the neighbors, especially the Karens and Larrys that are all masked up, and just try to wake some people up and do it in a gentle way, and just express the true nature of humanity. And I think if we all did that worldwide, CJ Truth, I like to follow him because he says pray at 7:14 a.m. or 7:14 p.m. He's asking everyone to vibrate at a higher level. Whether you meditate, whether you pray, whether you just say hello to your neighbor, start with acts of kindness, love, peace, and tranquility. And that's who we are as humans. And I think that's what we have to do globally. And I think if we can just put that out and manifest a better world tomorrow and help POTUS along, and make sure that we do have a sea of red, and that we do see change for the greater good of humanity, I think it'll be fine.
100%. I fully agree. Before we end tonight, do me a favor. You guys have a practice. We have people who are looking for natural health solutions, nutrition, weight loss, chiropractic, etc. Give us where do they find you? Where do they find Dr. Shireen, who is either watching this or falling asleep? But I love you, Dr. Shireen. You're the best.
She's gonna get you for that. Yeah, you can find us at hfcwellness.com. So it's
okay.
First Chiropractic, hfcwellness.com. If you're in the Richmond area, you're looking for help with chiropractic or weight loss, nutrition, things like that. She releases her brand new program in about 2 weeks. drshireen.com. She's going nationally with that. Oh, there it is. There
she is.
That's the website. Yeah, it's a great website. And then you can just go to hfcwellness.com and she's more than, you can book an exam there, and she's more than happy to help you out and take care of you. She's just an amazing chiropractor. She is a beautiful lady and just the woman of my dreams, and I'm very, very blessed to be with her. But if you need a good chiropractor, if you're outside of the Richmond area and you need a good chiropractor, we have a network. You can just email me, you can email Jason, we'll find somebody for you as well.
Awesome, man. I appreciate you as always. For those of you who don't know, Dr. Mike and I are messing each other basically every day, every other day, constantly back and forth on what's going on. And he is a great source of information for me a lot of times because we're both busy. So we're trying to like keep up to date. But he is literally serving humanity every single day, not only helping people get well, but also getting chiropractors busier and getting that, if you're a chiropractor out there right now, this is not even to my Patriot audience, as in like the public who are not in healthcare. This is for the chiropractors out there. If you are either struggling in this world from the whole pathogen and the pandemic aspect, or you just want to help more people, because quite honestly, we need to see more people. We need more people under chiropractic care. That actually helps the Great Awakening happening faster. Get in touch with Dr. Mike. If you don't know him, get in touch with him immediately. Let me know, because he can actually help you do the right things to make your practice more successful and to help more people in your community. And that's really what it's all about.
It is. And it's really about serving more of mankind and getting more people connected, and getting more people connected, not just health wise, but spiritually too. And it's all about above, down, inside out. So that's what we did.
100%. So I appreciate having him on as always. You guys are seeing someone here who, serves humanity, helps me on the back end, gives me some source information. I appreciate him being on, because not only can he do the background work, but he also is good on camera too. So I appreciate him and giving us a different viewpoint. So, sir, I appreciate it as always.
My conspiratorial brother, I love and appreciate you and all that you do. Jason, and for those of you who are out there, let's throw Jason some loves and some smiles and some high fives. I mean, he's doing a great job, and you guys know it. And he's waking up the world. And even though he's getting bumped off of YouTube and Facebook, that just means he's on purpose. So let's give him some more love and put more people in his audience, guys, so we can wake up the world together. So love and appreciate you, Jason. Keep doing the great work.
All right, guys. Dr. Jason Dean, Dr. Mike Reid at Revolution Network. I appreciate you guys all. See you tomorrow for who knows what's going to happen next. 11 a.m. news conference. And I will say this. Don't get yourself over prepared for some massive thing, because I don't want people to be let down. This thing can take a little bit of time, even though we're 28, 29 days before the election. Don't freak out if Hillary is not indicted at 11 o'clock. It may not be that, but be prepared for anything to happen, because if the president is going off, who knows?
Never know.
Never know. Have a wonderful night, guys. We'll see you tomorrow. Take care of yourself. And as always, again, serve and help someone tomorrow. Be well.